Hi, this is James. Welcome to Jimmerish FM. I'm joined with, how do you introduce yourself?
I'm
Once
Justin.
Really? Justin?
Yeah.
Once Really?
I've never really reconciled the two, how they work together, to be honest.
At Once Really on Twitter.
Um,
How's it going, Justin?
yeah, good, thanks, James.
You were saying you bought a new Mac Pro.
I did, yeah. I got the Pro Retina one, big size one. Do some Final Cut stuff on a more portable location. But I thought there's a couple of apps I wanted to use, so that I've sort of been anti-smartphone for a while. So I thought I'd try and install a virtual Android on the computer, but 4 hours later it's still not quite working.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's not that much fun. How about you, James? How's your week been?
Busy. Very busy.
That's good. What projects have you been delving into?
Gardening
Excellent.
and like money work. And I've got family in town this weekend, so preparing for that.
Excellent.
It's my mum's birthday, so I'm working on a present for her.
Working on it? You making it or?
Yeah, unfortunately. I hope she's not listening. I was making I wanted to buy her a card game, but it was sold out. Like the first edition, the print is completely sold out, and they're not making the second edition until November. So to appease the masses, they brought out a thing where you can print it out yourself, but then you have to cut it all, 200 cards out yourself, and
That's pretty cool.
it's taken me all day, and I still haven't finished it.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's the Marry Me, Mr. Darcy, the Pride and Prejudice game.
And is she a big card person, or is she just into Pride and Prejudice?
Yeah, she's just in Pride and Prejudice and silly games to play at her beach house. So what's the new computer for audio project? Justin's a musician and an actor and does creative work.
Yeah, I probably bought it more for the. I've just been really, I guess, enjoying the whole Final Cut Pro X that brought out, and yeah, I just think it's a cool program. And I think where I'm at right now with music and stuff, like, because I did a degree in art direction a while back, and I do like doing a bit of acting and music, and then someone asked me to, because I come from a music background with an art direction background, someone asked me to direct a music video a little while ago. They gave me a couple grand, and yeah, sort of it kind of made sense because I'd already done a few album covers for that same artist, and then they just said, hey, why don't you direct a video? And I'd never really done one, but I sort of always played around with it, and yeah, I thought, well, there's me mixing two things, and then I kind of started allowing myself, started getting interested in acting again. I'd stopped having any interest in it for quite a while, but now it's sort of getting quite interesting. And now I just think the whole landscape of where we're at, digital landscape and content, I don't know, no one really knows what a musician's supposed to do anymore, or even like filmmakers are starting to wonder how their life's supposed to work with the new blockbuster periodium that we seem to be finding ourselves in, and so small scripts struggling, and I guess the Hollywood studio system's all about making movies that they can sell to Asia as well as 14-year-old kids in mega malls. Yeah. So anyway, no one really knows where it's all going, but I've started to just open myself up to everything a bit more instead of just concentrating on music and stuff. And maybe that'll lead to the new kind of artist guy. I don't know. He seems to be working for James Franco. He just put out a book again, and he's writing films. And
have you seen the movie that he wrote?
The one that one of the Coppolas made?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. Is it good?
No. Oh, I don't know.
Have you seen it?
No, but I would like to.
Yeah.
When I get a chance.
What's on your next top 2 or 3 films on the list for you to watch next?
Oh, the new P.T. Anderson film and the new Christopher Nolan film.
Oh, yeah.
They're both coming out in November, I think.
What's the P.T. Anderson one?
Inherent Vice with Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh, I've heard something vaguely about that. I was just passing by a bus with a billboard for the new Christopher Nolan one. That's out 6th of November here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Inherent Vice. I don't remember what that's about at all. But we were talking, I've been looking at short films lately, and without having a list of the actual short film festivals that they've been exhibited in, I keep on seeing in their little spiel next to the film, seen in 35 short film festivals, and these aren't that good of film festivals. So I started thinking that the film that you made should be seen by more people because people really like it. And I like it. And people like it. I mean, obviously some people from the St Kilda Festival wrote to you and said, we want to show it so people like it. I don't know what you get this hang up that it's for old people.
It is for old people.
Because of that scene in the bar.
Yeah.
It's a magical scene and people of all ages.
No, it's just everyone else wants something edgy, you know, or they want something.
Bullshit. I don't agree with you. I don't. Those edgy ones are so unfulfilling. I don't like.
But I don't find short films fulfilling full stop. Like,
well, a lot of that's true. That might be true, but yours is fulfilling.
Yeah, I don't know.
But anyway, I keep seeing these shorts that have been shown in 40 festivals around the world, and I don't have the list of what those festivals are. I suppose I could probably dig if I really wanted to, but I think you probably know where they are. So let's get this film scene a bit more.
Do you have some ideas?
Well, I just think I can't see why. Well, I sent you an edit. Have you had a chance to look at that?
Oh, you sent me it? No, I haven't seen it.
Check it out. I don't know if it'll help, but I think it could. Other than that, if it's financial, then yeah, we'll have to start I don't know. We'll work out a payment program. But
it's expensive because it adds up, you know.
Yeah.
If
How much is it?
If you're sending to 20 festivals at $30 each and hoping to get into like one or two, it's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, but those are the sort of things that you just have to cop. I mean, you spend $100 on 4 different festival entries or something, or you don't get it out there and you wait another 3 years until you've got money to make another quality film, and then you're still going to need to spend money on getting that one out. I mean, it's the same with everything. Like Elvis Presley recorded his first single himself with his own money from driving a truck. U2 borrowed money off their parents to record their first music. People forget that these icons...
Right, okay, but put yourself in the position of someone scheduling a... like picking movies to show at a film festival, right? And you've been to a few of them. Like, what is in the meet cute that goes, oh, I have to put that in? There's no hook. It's
a one-off.
There's no hook. There's no cat. There's no, oh, that's the one where the guy pisses on himself.
I get it, what you're saying, because, everyone's looking for this hook thing a lot of the time, but every now and then there's just a quality...
That's the whole thing about all things short films. What's the hook? Oh, did you see the short film with the guy...
No, but yours is, that film's got heart, which is different. You know, to draw another musical comparison recently, like, sure, most of the stuff that is in the top 40, it's usually about a girl with hardly any clothes on singing about the club and et cetera, or some crazy dance from some guy from Korea, or, you know, a guy with big crazy hair and big white rimmed sunglasses in his undies singing about his sexiness. But all that aside, the album that sold 3 times more than any other album in the last 5 years or 10 years, probably the biggest selling album in the world, was Adele. And there was no underwear, there was no bikinis, there was no stupid repetition of the one word over and over and over again, and no weird sound effects on the vocals. It was just something with heart. And she had this one song that just everyone, it cut through all that hook stuff, all that gimmick stuff.
Yeah.
And I reckon that film is just strong. It's just a strong film. Like, Adele's got a very strong song that she put out, and it connected with everyone. So that would be my feeling. It does happen every now and then.
I guess so.
And you've entered it. You've entered it. You put it into what, like 6 festivals?
Yeah, probably more than that.
They always say the Beatles got rejected from 100 record labels before they got signed.
Yeah, but if you're just sending it to people when they watch it, then that's fine. It's more that when these festivals, they make their money by getting 1,000 people sending in a film and charging $30. That's $30,000 to get their film festival started.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, but at the same time, what's the alternative? Like, you want people to see your writing.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd rather pay money to send it into film festivals where it's just based on my writing, you know?
Well, is that happening? Is that costing you?
Yeah.
So,
But I don't have enough money to, like, I got one on just November 7th I want to get in. That's going to cost $100 because with writing festivals, you have to pay someone to read the script because
You're
it takes
sending
2
in the
hours to read
script.
in the script. Yeah. So you have to pay someone.
I reckon your film's stronger than that, man. It works. This. I think it. I mean, it looked good on. It does look good on page. I remember reading it and thinking it was really good, but I didn't actually think it was as good as it turned out. It turned out better than I imagined because, yeah, you can just sort of see.
Yeah, but it's compromised because it had to be. It was paid for by the council. They wanted a family-friendly thing, so it's like it's very conservative. You know, the original.
That doesn't
The
matter.
original idea was like, I mean, if you've seen the film,
Most of the best stuff is for everyone. Like,
yeah,
my favorite movie of all time is like Stand By Me, which I think I saw when I was, I don't know, 10, and I still love it. And it's got a little bit of adult content in it, and then you've got things like Gilbert Grape. There's nothing edgy about that. That's probably my second favorite film. Anyone could watch, any age could probably enjoy it. It's just a stories about families and people.
yeah.
And I'd probably go back to that Adele thing. The reason she's sold 3 times more than Taylor Swift, who's the biggest artist in America, is because it appeals to everyone. Yeah. I don't know. We're going to get this out, even if I have to, I don't know, dig into my own pocket. It's a good film.
Yeah, but you have to think about. I appreciate that, but it's you have to think about where it would fit.
I don't think.
Like, I would like to send it to this. I'm thinking of sending it to this Finland film festival, but will Finnish people get the film? Because
they speak English, don't they?
I think you're allowed to enter English. It probably you have to go into a certain segment of the film festival for English language films.
I don't want to be an a-hole, but I totally reject your feeling that it's family friendly being the issue here. That's not. I mean, there's no swearing or blood or anything. That's not an issue at all. That's a good thing.
Yeah, but it's also like I said online, it's like a white guy pining after a girl, and it's like the most unoriginal idea.
That's why it's so. That's why it's such a feat. You've pulled
can't
this
do
off.
that anymore.
You've pulled off something which does sound like a mundane story, but I totally think it's way above what you're saying. Anyway, yeah, we'll sort that out. It's got to go in a few more. I don't know where you get the list from. Give me the list.
I'd rather just make a new film,
money.
spend the $200 it costs to enter into new films, and just make.
Yeah, but I heard you talk about your next film. Something. One of your ideas recently was that you almost have. You've written I think maybe a feature or something. You mentioned to me at one point, but the idea is to go ahead and you think you've written it as it's cheap, and you can make it without paying actors and things like that. And I'm totally down with that. But the more I think about that, I think it doesn't work. You need to. I think. I mean, as much as you didn't have that much funding, you had enough funding to make everyone happy. And I think it's really important. Like, you had a bit of issue with one of the actors in the film that didn't turn up to some practice time a bit. And imagine if you didn't have any money to give them, like, you'd just come up, you'd see frowning on the set. You'd see when something was just a little bit difficult, you'd get a little bit more of a frown, a little bit more of a shuffle of the feet. And that probably goes across all areas in the film crew, I think.
Yeah, but my friend who lives just around the corner, they made a film this year for $17,000 or something. A feature film. I don't know where the money goes.
Have you seen it?
No, I don't know if it's any good, but they're gonna get attention for it, more attention than I will for a short
Do you want to drop a name?
Fun?
Can you drop any names?
No, I don't want it.
The production people? You don't want to say?
No, it's just like people like me. It's not any famous people. I don't think.
There's always levels of fame. Perth fame.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll debate you with this another time when we're not boring the crap out of people, because I totally disagree with you 100%. Anyways, so what else has been happening? I've been doing my day gig, design work, and working on a few things for myself which are visually based, and when I do those things I can listen to podcasts, as opposed to when I make music I can't listen to anything, or when I'm writing something I can't listen to anything. Can you write your scripts while there's dialogue going on in the background?
No. But I drive for work, so I usually listen to podcasts while I'm driving
Oh, sweet.
or exercising.
Sweet. I've been quite enjoying
I actually have more time for podcasts than any other medium. I think everyone does. People just don't know it. I think if you work out the people doing chores, driving to work or commuting, doesn't have to be driving, or exercising. That's like, for most people, that's a minimum of 2 hours a day that they can't do anything else but that. I mean, some people read a book on the train, but
yeah, it's great. It's like I started pursuing my design work a little bit more because I just realized I can do it to a good level, but a little bit mindlessly, and just listen to goings on in the world. It makes the world seem smaller, and you learn stuff. Quite liking that Bret Easton Ellis one.
Oh yeah,
it's pretty cool. You used to it?
Yeah. I haven't listened to any recent episodes, but some of them are quite interesting.
Yeah. What else do you like?
He reckons that cinema's doomed.
That seems to be a very big theme on his show, yeah. And yeah, probably.
I didn't ask you. I think I said my films I'm excited to see. Did you have an answer?
Oh, I always have this list that I write when I'm just thinking of it, and it's usually I just email it to myself, and then I retrieve it and then add to it and then send it again, reply to myself. And I think I just wrote yesterday, I wrote Milk. I haven't seen. I think Bret Easton Ellis might have been involved with it at one point. One of the scripts, I'm not sure if his final one was his. I wrote Gasland because I was walking along and I was talking to this guy selling, a charity man trying to help the cause of old growth forests in WA. Apparently, this is a little tidbit I learned yesterday, which as much as I do support environmental causes, I think this one might be stretching the truth somewhat, but it could be true. He reckoned there was 10,000 football fields of old growth forest knocked over or cut down every year in Australia. 10,000 football fields. That's huge.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But we've got to support the logging industry, man. Got to keep those jobs, those tiny little jobs, let alone the huge tourist industry that's getting ruined by destroying the old growth forest.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, that reminded me of Gasland, which is because he started talking about fracking after that. So Gasland went on my list yesterday, which I've been meaning to see for years. Apparently, it was Oscar nominated. I actually met a guy who was one of the producers. I worked with him for a little while when I was in LA a little while ago, but he's gone off he's lost his mind now. So the project that I was working on is probably never coming out. But yeah, I want to see Gasland because it's supposed to be fantastic, and it's this documentary about, and the way they styled it, it's very much just a guy almost holding a camera at himself, walking around, investigating all this stuff, which I've been sort of making a documentary for a little while, which is in a similar vein. So I want to watch that to get some clues on the production style of holding a camera or putting it on a fence somewhere and standing in front of a fracking tower or something. Anyways, what else is on my list? Movie-wise, I can't remember much further than that. That was the... yeah, no, I don't know. Nothing. I'm sure the Christopher Nolan one will be great. I mean, he's pretty consistent.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I have my doubts that the actual film as a whole will work, but I think it'll be spectacular whatever happens. Yeah,
really?
On IMAX screen.
Yeah, right. No, I'm usually pretty up to date with what's going on with all that stuff, but I haven't followed anything about this new film. What's it even called?
Interstellar. Yeah, I haven't. I mean, I know it's coming because I'm really interested, but I'm avoiding all the trailers because I want to be surprised when I go in. You know. Yeah,
it's got Matthew McConaughey on the poster wearing like a real. It seems like a spacesuit that's from reality, like your sort of gravity spacesuit, as opposed to a sci-fi spacesuit. So I'm wondering if it's in that sort of based in our time reality, or it's sci-fi in the future, and there's all sorts of machines that we've never heard of.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, you gonna say something?
Do you do much acting at all?
I stopped doing it for years, and then like when I met you, that's when I thought I was going to try and do it again. And I just recently got my O1 work visa for America, so I want to. I got that more through my music achievements because some of that stuff's been going well, and there's people over in America who like it, and
How do you go about doing that? What's the
O1 work visa.
yeah?
I had to show that I'd achieved. Well, it's actually the O1 is like the code, but the real official title of the American immigration they call it the Alien of Extraordinary Ability. So it's the same one that all the actors get when they go over there and they've been in Home and Away for 5 years, and then all the musicians that have had a hit or something. I don't know if I've had any hits, but enough people have said really good things about me in the internet, and I think the immigration people troll through and try and find out whether you are considered extraordinary ability or not. So I did that. I submitted some stuff, and then they went and researched me, and had to get some famous people to write nice letters about me and stuff. And it's weird. They actually, like it says in the application process, we need famous people to say good things about you. So that was pretty weird. So I scratched my head for ages and finally came up with a list of people, and they all said yes, that they liked what I do, and they all wrote nice things. But back to your question about acting, I'm quite liking it now. It's interesting. And
So what do you like? I mean, I only know the stuff that you did for me.
Yeah.
Like,
What did
were you auditioning for other stuff, or do you just get offers on things?
Well, I hadn't been pursuing it for ages, but when I went over to Sydney, like 10 years ago or something, I rocked up and I had this. I was really not wanting to do music, but I rocked up and I thought, I actually think, I don't know, maybe I'm full of shit, but I think acting's really easy. Like, some people might say, yeah, because you're crap at it. But, and when I saw the film that you made, I did think I was crap, and I was like, oh my God, I'm deluded. Like, I thought it was easy and it wasn't easy. But then I watched it again. Maybe some people encouraged me, and I was like, yeah, actually I can stomach this. Anyway, I can't believe I just said acting's really easy. All these people going to NIDA. But it doesn't seem like a very hard chore. You basically got to read someone's lines and then repeat them and pretend that you feel the things. Like, anyway, so I thought, no, I haven't done that much. I went over to Sydney and I went in this amateur theatre production, and it's quite a famous amateur. When I say amateur, like this is like the very high level, like people who could be professional actors and maybe were, but they just couldn't be bothered with the lifestyle. They decided to get a real job in teaching and then not have to go to auditions in the middle of the day. So that was I went in this one play. I was really good and managed to get an agent from that. And then she sent me to an audition for an ad, and I got that. Like my very first audition, it was for an American ad, so it never really it was never shown. I never saw it, but it was a big production that they were doing 3 ads in the one part of the campaign, and the one that it was all based at this music festival. So they came out to Australia to use, I don't know, the extras in the music festival grounds or whatever. For whatever reason, when that was happening, there was a lot more American productions going on in Sydney. And I did that. And then
Is that good money?
it was good. Yeah. And then after
hobby money.
Hey?
Is it hobby money?
Oh, no, because I was a character, but it wasn't crazy money because they were sneaky. They managed to like audition these people and say, okay, well, my role was like a VJ on like a Channel V or MTV. And they, come in and do your thing, but they kind of wanted you to improv. So the dialogue was never written down on a bit of paper. So therefore the rate was not quite as high, even though I'm in the ad, like saying all this dialogue. I did my improv and they told me to come back and I did it again. And then they like finessed it and massaged it a bit. So I was sort of saying what they wanted me to say, but it was a bit of my own character. Anyway, that meant they got to save a bit of money. But long story short, it was okay. But yeah, then after that, I just really got into music and I stopped doing it. And I told that I'd go and meet this woman who was my agent, and she'd say, what are you doing? What parties are you going to? What courses are you doing? Who are you smooging? And I just like, I'm not doing any of that stuff. Like, I'm not that interested. And I stopped doing it, got really into music. And then, like last year, I was in LA for a little while in 2012, started thinking I'd like to do it again. Just, I don't know if I always thought I would like to do it again eventually, but maybe the music industry got to a point where it's a little bit demoralizing and a bit doomy. And I just started liking watching shows like Breaking Bad, and thought, well, if that's what TV's on, and I thought, well, maybe it wouldn't be that. Maybe it would be fun. Like, I'd never want to be on something like Home and Away or whatever, even if it did lead to being Thor eventually and millions of dollars. Like, I don't think I could stomach being on many of the Australian dramas. No offense to anyone, but I'm sure I just offended 100 lots of people. But if I can somehow get, I was thinking about going to pilot season in December or January with this new visa I've got. Seeing if I can see some people. It would at least be funny to cross that off my bucket list that I did go to LA and do some stuff, even if it wasn't much. But, you know, acting's a weird thing. Like, it's sort of, even people who are successful, like, really successful, like, 5 years later, you just look at them and they go, they seem like, yeah, maybe they've got a nice house, but they don't, this doesn't really have any, there's not much control for you and you're not really doing much. The real artist is the director or the writer, I think. So anyway, if it gave me a nice bit of money, who could complain?
Yeah.
Speaking of all that stuff and watching in pilot season, and you asked me about what films I watched, I did just sit down and watch all of True Detective season 1. That was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was the first episode I was like, I can't believe people like this.
Yeah, I didn't like the first
But then I
episode
gave
either.
the second episode a shot and then I got into it. Because it just felt like, oh, is this just some new Law and Order thing? It's just two cops in a murder. I'm like, God, who cares? Like,
Yeah.
but then you start to see once it got more involved in their lives and the context of where they are, it's much more interesting.
Yeah.
Because I just can't stand procedural stuff, you know.
Yeah, no, I can never watch any of those Law and Order things and stuff like that, and the CSIUs or whatever they're called. But yeah, no, it was quite fun. But at the same time, you wonder, like, with entertainment in general, I guess it is just a way to, like, forget about it. You don't really get much spiritual nourishment or anything like that out of it, do you?
Yeah, I mean, some shows I did. Like, I remember watching some shows, especially if you binge it and watch it all, at a time. Like, I think I watched Battlestar Galactica and Deadwood. I watched them all, 40 hours in a week. And end of the week, it ends and you feel like it was like another world that you're part of, and you get attached to those people when they disappear. That I felt like I'd lost something when it ended. Like you'd been in this, it's like having a dream that went for a whole
which is
period
really
of time.
fun.
Yeah.
And great escapism. I actually felt like that at the end of Breaking Bad. I was wrecked and I was like, oh man, I'm going to miss those people.
Yeah. But with other shows where you watch it week to week, it's hard to get that effect because it's so dilute. It's only when you watch something intensely that you're like, wow, and you're in that world.
But there is some art forms or entertainment that you do also that can change the way you think and you can learn something. Whereas maybe True Detective was great and the acting was superb and I loved the production and stuff. Maybe, the McConaughey character's atheist views and stuff were interesting, but I actually kind of already agreed with all of them before I'd seen it. But maybe do you think that's what some people would have got from it? Like a new way of thinking about that?
Yeah. I don't know.
Sometimes I remember even when you just brought up Battlestar Galactica, I never saw it, but it made me think of, I used to sometimes, at one point they used to show a lot of the original Star Trek, and I actually remember thinking that was fucking cool. Like they'd have all these anthropological ideas and and they'd be dealing with issues, and even as a real kid I could still tell what was they were trying to hint at, deals of racism and sexuality and stuff, and all about that 60s themes that were happening in the culture, and that was cool. And I know musical artists that have made me think about things differently.
I don't know about the original Star Trek, but some of those sort of shows I always felt were sometimes a bit heavy-handed,
I know what you mean. I can't think of any examples, but yeah, you don't want it to be heavy-handed and smacking you over the head and treating you like
there's probably good examples of films out there like that, which really put you in perspective. Like, I'd love to see more films from a woman's point of view that aren't like, hey, I got to get a job and win over a man. which is seems like they're pretty rare out there. Like, you know, Girls, which became a big hit on HBO, is still about a bunch of spoilt brats. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard to identify those characters, even though they're, I guess, more realistic. But
I like the first series of that show, but I quickly lost interest
oh
in
yeah,
the series.
halfway through the
season
second season, I was like, this is just these characters are just despicable. I don't like them. It's hard to like, and some people say, oh, that's what I like about it, and but.
But also, yeah, you just stop caring. Like, it started to get a bit soap opera-y. I wonder how long that show will still be a hit. But soap operas are hits sometimes. I just lost interest in House of Cards as well. After I started watching the first season and watched 6 episodes, and I was done.
Oh, really?
Did you try that one?
Yeah, I really like the first series, but I don't know. I reckon I'll lose interest in the third series. The second series is okay, because it's just a repeat of the first, really.
Is it? I really like the idea, and that's what's cool about maybe Breaking Bad and True Detective, even though it's more of a simple, straightforward 2 guys trying to solve a murder thing. But I like the idea of knowing that I'm watching something that has a point and it's going to get to a spot, and they are trying to do one idea.
Yeah.
Whereas I started feeling like House of Cards was just going to start doing he has an affair, she has an affair, and I don't really know where it's going. Like, anyway, I just started watching Masters of Sex.
Oh yeah, it's any good. I've watched like the first episode, but I didn't get past it.
How come you didn't get past it?
I think it's more I just don't want to commit to it.
Yeah. I'm
a commitment phobe TV.
Yeah, all the shows I've mentioned, which is 4 that I've watched probably or started watching. That's all I've ever watched. I know there's so many great shows out there, but I've just avoided them because they're all probably great. Like, I've never seen Sopranos. I've never seen any of Game of Thrones. People love.
Yeah, you should probably see Game of Thrones.
But that's the thing. Like, how long is that going to go for?
Probably for ages. Yeah.
And
because the book series hasn't even finished, then the guy might even die before he's finished it.
So how many seasons has there been?
4, maybe? I don't know.
4 with, 10 episodes?
Yeah.
More.
I think so. Something like that.
Yeah, well, that's my commitment phobia, I guess. Yeah. And I've seen a little bit of it. It seems kind of cool. But I did not enjoy any of those Lord of the Rings shows. So maybe
It's nothing like Lord of the Rings. It's more like Breaking Bad, but set in the Lord of the Rings universe.
Okay.
A lot of politics.
That's cool.
The one thing is that, like, they just treat characters. There's no there probably could be, but there's you can never go, oh, this character is going to be. If you try and guess this person's going to be the hero of the series, you could be. The guy who writes it, he'd be quite prepared to kill them off.
That's good. That's always a good thing when you can't predict shit.
Yeah. Obviously, there's still some characters in it now that I'm like, well, I assume that the end of the series is going to be about that person possibly conquering their ordeal, or maybe it'll end with them just getting stabbed in the throat. And it's just like, hey, that's life.
That'd be pretty cool.
If Steve Jobs died of cancer and Tesla died a pauper, heroes don't always have happy endings.
So what about what's it called? Mad Men. I've never watched that one.
I love that. It's probably my favorite show.
Really?
Ever. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I have to watch it then, because I've been getting some good. Yeah, like Bret Easton Ellis was going on about it recently. That's amazing.
Yeah, but that show doesn't have a direction.
Oh, really?
So if you want a show that has a direction, you won't like it probably.
Oh, really? It's sort of just every day is a new challenge.
Yeah, but it's about the characters making the same mistakes over and over again. But
it does not sound like my kind of thing.
Yeah, it's more of an atmosphere thing. You go into the atmosphere, you get lost in the atmosphere.
That's cool, but over and over again, same mistakes. That does not sound fun. That sounds like Neighbours.
Yeah, but you get to know the person, and people, that's just like, it's kind of like real life. People sometimes they change and mature a bit, maybe, and learn how to get around it, but then they're always tempted to make the same mistake, you know.
But isn't that... So what's the difference between that and Days of Our Lives?
I think there's a lot of care put into this.
Uh-huh.
That's it. The creators care about it.
Yeah. It gets great reviews.
And they do stuff that would just never be done in films, you know.
Right.
Because films have to have a plot, or they have to be completely abstract. There's no middle ground, really, for films, you know.
That's interesting. That's what I liked about Breaking Bad. Like, I know that they were making it up as they went along to a large extent. They must have been, because they didn't know how many seasons they were going to get. But it felt like, it made me think about script writing so much more, because it felt like it was all written, pre-written.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't think I'll ever watch Breaking Bad again. Rather than, I would watch shows like Mad Men and Deadwood, which don't have endings. Again, because I just want to get lost in that world. I don't care about what happens. Because now that I know the end of Breaking Bad, what's the incentive of watching the film again? You know, it's done. It's like a one-hit wonder. Because that's the thing that kept you going. Breaking Bad's like, what's going to happen once it's over? You go back.
But it
and
had atmosphere and it had
it's
characters.
just despicable
as well.
characters.
It had atmosphere and characters. And as much as they were despicable, most of the despicable people actually had really redeeming qualities as well. Or maybe I just
but the one hero, Hank.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. He didn't mean to.
They were all
He's
heroes.
the only good
Jesse
character
was
in the
very
whole show.
lovable, and so was even Heisenberg himself. Had a lovable. Even the really big bad Kingpin was so endearing to watch, because he was just so well done.
Yeah, it was great acting, but I just couldn't watch it because it's, you know what happens. Rather, it doesn't matter what happens in Mad Men. They could ruin it by doing something really stupid, but.
So, what do you think about, like, you asked me about acting, like, what's your take on it?
On acting?
Yeah.
You're acting?
No, as an art form. Is it an art form, or are they just
it's one of those things where I think, again, there's no real middle ground. It's only the best that are actually really artists, because you can see them. When you watch them on screen, you can see them thinking. You could make that film to cut out all their dialogue, and you could still know exactly what happens, because you can just almost read their mind. That's what I know, like, great actors. And to get that skill level is pretty crazy to me. That they're the best. And most other people, you can see that you look at them and all they are is trying to remember the lines. You can just see them going, what's my next line?
That's very.
That seems to be the jump between those 2 points. Seems to be a huge gap. Admittedly, I haven't worked with many great actors, so.
But you also it's not about who you've worked with, but you're also making these deductions from watching stuff as well, right? Like the other people have made. So I think that's interesting. Like, no middle ground. So you're saying when you watch something, a film or TV, like, let's say there's someone great in it. Is there also average people in it? Or is it only the people who actually work, are they all great? Is the people who aren't good, are they the ones who don't get the job?
I'm always impressed that sometimes you watch, like, if you do watch CSI, they always have new actors, and sometimes they get great performances out of those actors. But admittedly, most of the time they're just speaking exposition, so maybe that's easy to do. But I think there are a lot of people who go into it and they don't get it. They think, oh, I'd like to try acting. But they don't ever sit there and go, what does it take to be a good actor? They just think it's reading lines to an audience.
Really? Isn't it? I thought that would be the first thing.
And that's the same with any industry, I think.
I thought that was the first thing people told them. How do you become a good actor? You think like the person who you're playing. Isn't that what they say? Isn't that the first thing you go
but then they get so caught up in trying to think like the cat, but all they're doing in their head is trying to think like the thing. You actually have to be in that space. There's probably some character actors that are probably really good, and all they are is just speaking line, because they probably are just that person in real life.
Yeah.
Some people just play the same character.
That's the thing, isn't it? Like, you get this Oscar for being the great actor, but maybe they just wrote a part that was very similar to you.
always, the most confusing actor to me is Tom Cruise because I always believe him. I don't the actual actor, Tom Cruise, I don't care for a bar of soap, but the characters he plays always, he seems to disappear to me, and it's just that guy in that role. But it's quite possible because it's rare that he actually plays a different character than what his sort of persona is. Maybe, I don't know.
I used to think that Tom Cruise just
like he did he get nominated for Magnolia? I don't know, but everyone said that was his best shot at winning Oscar. But I think that's some of the acting really grates me. Not, yeah.
I love that movie. I took a girl to that movie who couldn't speak English. It wasn't best sort of. It's a difficult film to understand.
I took a girl to see this was the deal breaker for me. I took a girl to see I guess it was a date to see The Fountain by Darren Aronofsky because I just really wanted to see it, and they wanted to.
I remember when that was being talked about being made. I didn't even know it even got made.
Yeah, it got made.
Oh, okay.
And it's all about death, and so it was the worst film to take someone on.
So at the end of it, like, was you just say it was a first date?
It
was one early date. You were still
it was dating.
And did she look at you like
that? Yeah, I think yeah. She was just like, "What the hell did you just take me to?" and I realized, going to movies is like the worst date. I mean, once you're in a relationship, it's probably fine. You go to dinner and movie, but when you're just getting to know someone, never take them to movies.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Because you're just not really spending time with them.
Yeah, you're watching a screen. You're not.
Yeah, so you're not really improving your...
And it distracts you from the movie because you're like, I wonder what they think of this film.
This is true.
What do they think of this film? What did they... maybe a comedy would work, and so you're laughing along.
Yeah.
But then I went to another date which wasn't really a date. That's why I went, because I broke my rule of going to a film with a girl because it wasn't really a date because we were already friends.
Mm-hmm.
But I think she wanted it to be a date. And I went to see the latest... And she suggested the film. It's one of the Farrelly Brothers movies, and there's like, some scene where some guy's like masturbating on a chick. And it's like, I can't remember what. No, that's right. Have you seen that? It was one where a girl has explosive diarrhea in the bathtub.
With Ben Stiller,
and she just goes,
Okay.
I was sighing with my head. For the listeners at home,
I could ask more questions about this, but it depends. I mean, the person who you're with you might not want to divulge that stuff. But yeah, that's interesting. I read something about the Farrelly Brothers the other day someone was talking about them. I don't know where they came from or what their background was, how they got to be directors, but they were saying that on their first film. They were like, because the people were discussing the idea of coming in as a director but not really knowing that much. How do you approach it? Do you fake it and boss everyone around? Or do you just be really open and say, hey, look, I've got no clue what this lens is or whatever? And anyway, they were talking about this one guy who was in the production with the Farrelly Brothers' first film, and apparently they'd never directed anything, not even a short. How do you go from doing nothing to directing a feature film?
I think there are some, it depends. It's hard to be a hands-on director, but it's probably pretty easy to be a hands-off actor. As long as you know that your job is to make sure this whole film is one vision. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't have to know fancy shots because you can just do a wide shot and then cut into the close-ups, and that's it. And then the editor works it out. And usually you would have a continuity person on set that represents the editor, and they will say, no, that's not going to cut together. And they will tell you, or the DOP will go, well, this will look good, and you just let the DOP do whatever he wants. And then, but you still have to be, and then if you hire really good actors, you can just let them do it. But you have to have some idea of what you want the film to be. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So as long as you got a vision of the end, it doesn't really matter.
Of the whole film as a whole, yeah. That's all you really need to go in. And you probably need to have good skills at, looking after actors in terms of what do they need to portray the character, and being good to your DOP and having good relationships so you're not arguing over things.
So you think people skills is one of the important skills?
Yeah, because there's some directors out there who don't care at all about the actual photography of it. All they care about the acting performances.
Uh-huh.
So as long as they're working with the actors, they're happy and they just let the DOP do whatever they want. Of course, DOPs love them because they get to pick the shots then.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is that sometimes if you let the DOP pick the shots, then it won't look good in the edit because he's just looking for nice things. But when you try and cut it together, it doesn't work.
Right.
So you have to have the director has to have the overall vision of how it's going to look.
Yeah. So
but if all else fails, have a wide shot and then do close-ups.
Yeah.
Make sure you stay on, the cross the line rule.
I don't know that. What's that rule?
It's kind of like if you're having two people talking, you have one on the left side of the screen, another person on the right side of the screen, so that when you're cutting between it, the audience doesn't have to they logically know where those two people are in the space.
What?
Well, obviously you can't put the camera right in the actor's eyes, so they're looking at the person. So you've got to position the camera as if it's the view of that person.
Yeah.
But you've got to do that without confusing the audience, and there's a rule called the crossing line that is the logical path of the audience. They go, oh, that's what's happened.
Okay, so it's a way of shooting the person's face.
Yeah. And so you can break that rule if for an effect or for a reason, but if you don't know what you're doing, you're better safer off just not breaking that rule.
Yeah. Okay. So
it's like a safety
to do with
it's about how you frame the person. Like, what side of the screen do you put the person's head?
I gotcha. Yeah. Right. So I think I've already said that I think the film that you made is really good and great, awesome. So I think your directing's really awesome as well. So do you like directing?
I'd probably enjoy it more if I wasn't producing.
Sure, yeah, but that's a pipe dream, isn't it? Everyone, unless they're like actual, you've got to be the producer director for a while, hey, until you've got until people see it in festivals and know how awesome you are. But if you don't get it out, you'll never get a producer.
But it'd be cool to have, all the most successful people you have. It's because they had a producer. It doesn't have to be a good producer. It's someone who was committed to being a producer.
I know, but that is the ideal. But
the problem is,
keep on noticing that people have to be the producer director until everyone knows how awesome they are, and then you get a producer.
That's because
and then
no one knows what a producer is. Do you know what I mean? Like, they try and source producers. If I was looking for a producer, I would go to a bunch of film people and say, hey, ideally what you should have is just someone who's experienced in event management, or that's their passion, is management,
Really? You think so?
I reckon that would be a huge boon to the Australian film industry, because there's no that would be huge for the Australian film industry if they focused in terms of funding in taking people from other fields and training to be a producer, rather than trying to recruit them from the film industry. Because people go in to film because they want to be a cinematographer, they want to be a director, a writer. They're the three things you get into film for being. You might be interested in sound design. No one goes into film interested in, rarely, like 1% out of 100.
I completely agree with you. Yeah, no one.
And that's why I went to this pitching night to pitch ideas, and the idea was to bring writers and producers together. And there was like 100 people in the audience. There was 3 people who claimed to be a producer put their hands up to say they were producers there.
Shit.
So we had 20 people pitching to these 3 people, and you don't even know the credentials of them. So the chances of those 3 people actually being useful to you, or them actually having any interest in the 20 projects there.
No, but I think it comes down to more to money. Like if I think most people who on a small level, local level, there is a little bit of budget, enough to pay a producer something that's reasonable. They usually are a director or a writer or something like that, or an actor or something. But they're taking a bit of day gig. But if there was really good money, I don't see why somebody who really aspired to be a director or an actor or something else couldn't do a really good job as a producer if they could see that shit, this is going to pay my bills for a while. I think the skills that those people would bring to help the director, because they'd understand what the director's going through a bit more than an events organizer. They'd understand, oh, hang on, that won't work because this shot doesn't meet with that, and all things that can help. Like if they're trying to organize the catering and the actors and the auditions, like I did.
It's not just events, it could be PR. You need to know, obviously, we're talking about what festivals you enter. You need someone to go out there and find these are the best festivals to enter for this kind of film.
Yeah, but I don't think that works practical because, okay, let's say there's some sort of funding body that takes the people who really wanted to be events organizers or whatever and says, hey, we're going to train you to be producers. And they're like, I just don't think that they would, unless somehow then we manage to just pay them a shitload of money every day.
No, what you do is you go, hey, here's $20,000. You have to go out there, recruit a writer and a director or a writer-director for a project that you think is cool, and then create a film.
Yeah, I still
at the
think
moment,
you need to have
there's
people
this
who
weird,
really love film.
there's
in the first
wishy-washy
place.
thing where they need everything, all the funding things now. You already have to have, before you even approach the funding body, you have to have a producer attached.
And so you're saying they should get the producer and they put it all together?
Yeah. That's what a producer does.
Yeah, I know, but
At the moment, it's writers and directors going around trying to find producers, which is, it just doesn't make sense.
what I'm saying is I just think on a practical level, I get what you're saying. I mean, it'd be great to have an awesome producer. On a practical level, I think you just got to be the producer-director mostly until you've got the runs on the board and people are saying how awesome you are.
But in the US, it's producers going around finding writers and
I know, but
directors.
that's over there in Los Angeles. That's their
And
that's a multi-million. That's $1 billion industry. Yeah,
Yeah, but
there isn't that here. You got people in the mining industry.
we're never going to change that, are we?
Probably
in the
not.
film industry,
Probably not,
even
because we haven't got the
in
population.
Australian TV industry, that's how it works. It's usually Australian producers looking for an idea for a TV show, and they go out and find stuff. But it's all run through the agency system, which is this weird middleman.
I mean, you wouldn't. The reason why in America, Los Angeles, these producers are putting shit together is because they can potentially make a lot of money. But even producers on a high level here very rarely make any money.
In TV, they make a lot of money.
Do they really?
I think so, yeah.
I heard that and this could be completely bullshit, not a great source, but that show, Offspring, I don't know how many seasons they did, 3 or 4 or something. And I think it was a popular show. I'm pretty sure it was a high rating show. And even then they were running on a certain amount of funding from the government. And that apparently that funding runs out after 4 seasons or whatever. So even though it was a high rating show, that this could be complete crap. Have you heard of that?
Offspring, probably, but they could just shoot it on a smaller budget. I don't think they were using that funding to...
But if the people who were producing that show had to have this special grant money that runs out after 4 seasons, that doesn't mean that means they weren't making a lot of money. And now they're not sure if they're even going to start again. But I think that was to do with creativity anyway. They didn't like it. I think the writers, creators got sick of it. But yeah, well, I don't know. I just think, maybe you're right, but it's not going to happen, is it? That's just not going to happen in Australia. They're not going to get producers and try and turn events organisations. Because you have to build you can't just fund their hunger. They've got to have a real hunger, and they've got to really see that this hunger, this hunger can make them rich eventually. That's what they have in America.
Yeah, but if you're an event manager or a PR person, you're moving from project to project, probably like all the other people. Imagine if just one of these projects was a film.
But there's just so much vernacular that you need to know, and you have to. But film, you have to love the shit. You can't go, okay, I'm going to choose to go into that industry for money. I don't think anyone really does that. Not here anyway.
That's the same with events. I'm sure there's the same problem with doing events, like running concerts.
Events are running. Half of the ones in this state are running because some mining industry has a shitload of money, and so you're like, cool, I'll organise an event for them because I'm going to get paid a fortune.
Yeah.
Most people out there work for money. People in the arts don't work for money. Not in this country, anyway.
Right. But you got to get momentum somewhere. So you start by, instead of funding these weird, like the way they pick who's going to get funding for a feature film in WA, it seems weird to me.
How do they?
Like a company comes up with an idea, like a production company comes up with an idea, and then they're like, mishmash it together, and they go, oh, this is interesting, and then they go in and make it, and it's this film that no one cares about.
And what would be the alternative? The producer comes up with an idea.
Yeah, incentivize the producers to go out there and actually find the people who are already passionate about something, rather than just hiring some guy. Like, you have a working creative, you'll be more likely to get a job as a film director than me, because I go, oh, he's done ads. We'll just get him to write something. We'll just get him to write something up, you know?
Well, the first thing I would do is go to a good writer. But anyway, yeah, maybe. Hey, we should.
And where would you go?
We should write something. Where would I go? I'd go to
write.
you. Yeah.
But then that's just a single source. That's what I'm saying. Like, you should have.
Well, I'd look around a bit. I don't know. I found this cool writer today, actually, who was doing a little YouTube. He was based in LA, but you can find him. Like, he made these 10-minute episodes, like webisodes. It was really strong writing. Like, I'm sure he's probably getting lapped up by the industry now, but most of the episodes from the first season only had, a few thousand views. But wow, the writing was really good. I don't see that kind of writing very often.
Yeah, I think what they need to do, they need to say if they're going to make a new film, they're going to make like at the moment they're funding 3 films. Shh, sorry, my cat's whinging.
WTF?
They're funding 3 guys. I like the
who is? Sorry,
there.
what?
Screen West for their feature navigation program. And they're having call out for scripts, and then you have to have an agent to send one in.
So those 3 guys are what?
They got picked as directors.
Okay, so they start off with the directors.
For some reason, I don't know, it seems like either their choice or not, they're not allowed to write their own scripts. So they're making a call out for scripts, and you can send it in, but you have to have an agent to do that.
There's no such thing as theatrical agents in WA for variety. Oh, there may be 1 or 2. I didn't think there was.
You would have a literary agent, probably like a book, like an author, the same publisher, same agent as an author.
Oh.
And you send it in. At least that says how they're advertising. I'm sure if you know someone, they'll just slip you in. And
what's to stop you from going? Get your brother to say, "I am such and such of the."
Oh, I'm sure you can do that. I'm sure you can do that. It doesn't really matter. And I don't know what they're going to do. Are they going to make all 3 films? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know much about Screen West. Have they got money?
Yeah, I mean they're making a lot of films. They're making more feature films here than ever.
Really? I missed all that. When did this start? Was this something that...
They're just some of the ones from last year premiering now. The Simon Pegg one and the Ewan McGregor one are premiering on right now.
Oh, yeah.
They were both made in WA last year.
I know they were made in WA. I didn't know they were funded through Screen West.
Yeah, I think so. At least up to $1 million. Probably.
I mean, those had Ewan McGregor and Simon Pegg. I thought that had foreign funding.
Oh, it's probably more than... I saw Screen West only put in like 750,000 or up to $1 million in.
Okay, so in those films probably cost 6 million or something.
4 million probably.
4 million. That's cool. So that's just does that money come from the state government?
Yeah,
that's cool. That's good. I just heard that they're
These Final Hours that came out last year. I think it just came out in the cinema a few months ago.
Was it good?
It's very depressing. This is why it will never be a big hit, because the actual trailer went viral, but the trailer went viral 18 months ago. And then they released it just 2 months ago, and no one can remember. No one in the world of the internet, it's gone.
That wasn't very clever. Why would you do that?
That'd be cool if you watched a trailer and you thought it was awesome, and you press rent now on your Apple TV, and boom, it's there for you to watch on Saturday night.
I'm sure that's happening now, isn't it?
It could have spread the word, but
See, that goes back to your film. It's not depressing.
exactly. And that they won't make it. They won't make that as a feature film, will they? Because it's too.
Would you like them to?
No.
I reckon you should, but hey, probably got ulterior motives. I reckon it could be a cool feature.
It's got to be edgy, man.
But you just said something that was depressing is never going to be a hit.
Yeah, but it was made because it was edgy.
But you're telling me that if
I know that's the
you're
problem.
telling me that Four Weddings and a Funeral or whatever, Love Actually, which is something that makes people happy when they walk out of it, won't get made here.
No, or it has to be like they would make something that's like the Full Monty. Australian, they love making movies that are like the Full Monty. That's what they want.
And is there can you let's say for example Your Meet Cute? Is there a film that fits into?
Every Australian film is either a copy or try to be a copy of Chopper or the Full Monty. It seems it's one or the other. Really? If you do anything else, you're never going to have a chance of getting made. I mean, These Final Hours is a really unique movie. It's about the end of the world. It's the apocalypse film set in Perth.
Is it good?
If you want to see Perth get blown up, go watch it. But it's really depressing. You come out and go, "Oh, I could have slit my wrists and had just as good a time."
Is the production values believable?
Yeah.
You don't sort of go, I can see how they've done that.
Well, it's not about the CGI. It's about
no, I know, but I can imagine
impact.
in that apocalyptic moment, like if stuff's
the only shot of Perth burning you see is like you see the Perth skyline burning in the distance as is.
Oh, so you don't see like dodgy cracks in the road and stuff.
No, you'll see it. When you see it, you'll know what I mean. It's done pretty simply.
Okay,
I don't want to spoil what happens.
That's cool. So, what do you think all this is going to in terms of maybe not so much locally, but in general, like when people like Brett Easton Ellis say, Brett Easton Ellis and Steven Spielberg, and that they say, cinema that'll go the way of theatre, where it'll cost you $100 to go to the theatre,
and
sure.
That's the way it has to go.
Once a year if you're lucky.
That's the way it has to go, because the only thing that's better than Mad Men or Breaking Bad is films like The Dark Knight Rises. I flew to Sydney to watch Dark Knight Rises in the IMAX. I paid $1,000 to see it.
So the money that makes when it goes to TV and Netflix and all that isn't enough.
Netflix doesn't make money.
Really?
The only stuff that will ever make money on Netflix, I'm pretty sure, is the stuff that Netflix funds itself. It's loss makers. Each season of House of Cards costs $100 million. And so that the people who made that will get a ton of money because Netflix is putting in and then just to promote the service. But if you're some person who's making your own stuff and put it up, every time someone watches, you get 1 cent. At least if someone rents on Apple TV for $5, you might get $1 of that.
Okay, so all that
Netflix is just making everything is devaluing content to the point where it won't be economical.
So where are we going to go then? What's going to happen?
What's going to happen is the bad thing that's going to happen is that Netflix and HBO and a network like Google and Amazon will put money into their things that will attract stuff. And anyone who gets made through that system are going to make a ton of money. Everyone else is going to make nothing. And there's just going to be really cheap films and there's going to be really expensive films, and the middle ground is going to die.
That's exactly what's happened to music.
Yeah.
Crazy. But so all that like HBO is profitable.
Yeah.
So what are we going to get? We're going to get good, great, high-end, good writing, good production, 5-part series or something like, or like 10-part series or series in general, True Detective kind of things, maybe like series that aren't always interrelated by the next season. And then we're going to go and see Avengers in a cinema for $100. Interesting. And then we're going to get iTunes movies that someone made next door for
people,
for 17 grand.
People aren't going to. They're only going to go. You're only going to pay $100 to see a theatre show if it's at the State Theatre Centre, a nice big show, with little trinkets you get at the half break or whatever they call it. the intermission.
Yeah.
You go for the experience, you know? Like I go, if there's a movie I want to see and it's in IMAX, I love paying $26 to go see it in IMAX. You go in there, there's no ads, there's just trailers and then the movie. Boom, best sound in Perth, even though it's a digital IMAX. So it's not a real IMAX.
Well,
so this is why, you know, on a National Novel Writing Month. Have you heard of that?
no.
Every November, like they have this thing. It's like, hey, write a book in 1 month.
Really?
And normally I try and write a script or a draft of a script in 1 month. You know, like 3 pages a day or something. But this year I'm thinking, you know what? I should actually write a novel because I think that's the only way you can ever actually get your story out there that you want to do without compromise.
That's true. Yeah, because writing apparently...
Even though I'll never make money on it. But at least I could put it on my website and say, and I die and people go, what was that James person? Oh, I can read this story.
You might make money. It's possible. Like, I mean, lots of people made money out of
stories
books.
that I want.
But
people just want the next Cloud Street, you know.
But what do you want to write about?
Just dumb stuff that is fun.
Well, Cloud Street could be dumb stuff, isn't it? No, but yeah, I think you're right. I was listening to someone the other day saying that books are the only place you can really get where they want a unique voice. Whereas in the film industry, they want your voice to be the same as other hit that made money. So maybe you're onto something with the books. Whereas they're always looking for a new voice. Apparently they don't want a voice that's the same as everyone else. But that's not true because as soon as Harry Potter came out, then everyone was probably trying to write Harry Potters and we end up with Hunger Games. Via Twilight. Cool. Well, let's how many scripts have you got?
What do you mean?
How many short scripts have you got?
Short scripts?
Yeah.
None that are worth making.
How many feature scripts have you got?
Probably 2.
Cool. Well, do you like webisodes of things?
Have you ever watched a webisode?
Yeah. This one I found today is good.
And you're sort of in the industry. But I don't think anyone out of the industry has ever watched a webisode.
Maybe. Yeah.
I tried that. On my website you can see the pilot called The Final Summer. And it's not the actual episode is just a pitch. It's not like a
mood board thing.
Yeah, it just sets up the story. It's not actually what the show would be like, if you know what I mean.
But you did get an actor or so or something?
No, it was just my friend.
Oh, okay.
It was just for a competition.
Yeah, but
I only had a week to make
still an actor, or even if it's just your friend. But yeah, you did actually have people saying dialogue. You didn't just like find footage that was found footage and chuck it together and say, this is the atmosphere we're creating.
Yeah. But then again, it's because the competition I made it for, they just wanted the idea of it. So I feel like I'm not sure I'll ever pursue that idea again, but I would have to actually make a pilot episode that represents what it would be like.
Mm-hmm. So
But this is trying to set up an origin story in under 15 minutes of it doesn't.
And it's just set in real life, like your everyday, your life, your reality.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But I only had like 2 actors, sort of 2 main roles. And
what do you think about quantity versus quality? Like, okay, let's say you're trying to find that level where you got industry support, so you can call it fame, success, whatever you want to call it, but to a point where you are getting people to come to you and there is money and whatever, some sort of industry support. Like, would you go? Because some people seem to like in music. Some people go, well, I'm not famous or successful, but I don't care as long as I die with lots and lots of songs that I've made. And whereas I'm more like, I would much rather have 3 really good songs than have hundreds of average songs. Because the resources that you need to put into things to get them out there and get them made, like, I just kind of feel like you're better off just saving all your energy and just making quality
yeah.
as opposed to quantity.
I mean, ideally, would be for me is I would like to make a podcast every week because they're just people talking to a microphone, and then like run script a year. That's sort of my aim for the past 3 years.
Yeah, but okay. And so when you got these scripts, but you need to put energy into making that script come to a reality. Right?
Yeah, so I like the script that I wrote last year. I've been sort of promoting this year, and that was interesting. And
how'd you do that?
On the Blacklist.
What's that?
It's like a website. You pay someone some readers to read it, and they sort of give a rating. And then if you get good ratings, it'll go higher in the rank, and then in theory, producers go, I want to make a script that's set in Australia that cost under $1 million, could be made for under $1 million, has a male protagonist, and click, and it just lists all the scripts there that meet that criteria, and then they can choose to read them, or they can just read the blurb, or they can read the reviews and see what ones they're interested in, and then they can decide what to read.
So once it's up there, does that mean anyone can read it?
You can choose whether you want just indie. You can let anyone read it, or you can just let only industry professionals read it.
So the industry professionals pay a certain rate to be part of it, as opposed to...
No, they get it for free. They just have to prove themselves.
But is there a worry about intellectual property, or you just have to take that and run?
Who's going to steal it,
Okay, so there is that risk, but you just have to go... That's.
Well, I registered it with the Writers Guild of America.
Yeah. Wow. That's cool. That's cool.
So that was good, but then I got a few good reviews, and I got like a bad review. So I had to take it down.
Do you think it's legit, this site? It's not just a way of scamming writers for money?
I think it is. I think it is. I'll be interested to know how much money they make. They probably never say it's profitable. But the thing is, you actually get people to read it, and you get feedback back.
Wow, but it's like pay for play in a way, though.
Yeah, but it's fair because you're paying them for their time. To read it.
Yeah.
It takes 2 hours. If you're a fast reader, it's going to take you 2 hours to read a 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
So you got to pay them for their time.
But you never feel like because I could imagine if they were scammers, they'd have like kind of like generic template replies. That'd be bad.
Yeah, but the site will get bad publicity if they did that.
Yeah, it's got to feel real. So far you felt like it's legit.
And their answer is, if you don't feel it's worth it, just don't pay money. And so you just don't be part of it. But
you've already paid the money.
Yeah, and you got the feedback, and you decide whether it's worth it, and don't do it again.
Don't do it again, yeah. Yeah, fair enough.
So I got some feedback on that, and so now I'm rewriting a draft of that script.
So you got one bad review, and that meant you go.
Yeah, because then your average goes down and you fall down the rankings. So it's better to take it down and then put it back up.
Okay, and pay the money again and get some more readers.
Yeah, it's annoying, but that's
interesting. Oh, well, that's cool.
Plus, when I put it up, I'll put it up as a new draft, so the reviews of the old draft will be meaningless,
Yeah. Huh. Well, if I get into
I don't know if it's any good. How many scripts have you heard that were made because they were found on the blacklist? This is the website, not the actual annual list.
Yeah. But, as long as you're doing something, I feel like you've got to spend more than half of your time trying to get shit to happen as opposed to making it. Like, people who make their art is fine. But in this world, like, I think just making it...
Yeah, I just don't like short films, though. So why should I make short films? I don't...
I'm not saying you should make them. I'm saying, like, you could write...
I think I'm better off writing a book. Look, every film you got to see, just about 2/3 of them are based on a book.
Well, whatever you're making, whatever you're writing, or whether it's written or you actually get it in the can, I think you've got to spend a lot of time, making sure people see it or hear it or whatever. Like, that's almost more important than the actual making itself, which is depressing, but that's the reality.
Then they watch...
Because there's so much content now and so much equipment. Like, we're making this recording now that cost us hardly anything to record because of the digital technology. So it's all out there.
Yeah, but see, I've got an iPhone and I got a microphone and recorder. We could go, instead of spending $200 promoting the Meet Cute, you could spend $200 and make a film on the weekend that's actually got a hook to it, that might actually get into one of these dumb festivals.
I disagree, but that's we're not gonna agree with. I don't think I can convince you, because I think your film is way better than something you could make for $200, specifically on a weekend for 2 days, plus angling something that's not really you. I just totally disagree.
Well, if you've got contacts, ask them why. Ask them if you can watch the film, and ask them why would you not put it in the festival.
Well, I don't know how many
it's too
festivals you've really tried to put in.
It's too conservative.
Are you just being pessimistic, or you've really been knocked back from you need to have been knocked back from I mean, I know it's very hard to go to 50 festivals, but that's probably the reality before you can start being really pessimistic.
Yeah, well, what's 50 times 30? And that's 30 is usually the minimum entrance.
Okay, fine. It's a lot of money, but...
And then what are how many of these festivals will actually have people there that will actually
I'm just saying, yeah, it's shit that you got to spend that much money, but you don't have the right to be pessimistic and say that you're going to get knocked back until you really have been knocked back that much.
That's $1,500.
Have you done it?
Well, we spent the last of the money on we got.
That's what but this is my view, is that.
And I got to the point where I'm like, wow, we got into 1 of 10 that it was submitted to.
1 of 10's good.
Yes, that's it. And then go make the next film. Because the MeetCute isn't that.
But you're just telling me you don't want to make another film, partly because you're demoralized.
If I want to make a film, I want something that's actually representative of what I would want to make as a feature film. Yeah,
but then on the other hand, you're saying, "Oh, I'm going to pander. I'm going to try and get a hook and do stuff that people think's edgy," which is not really you.
But or is it? Everyone comes up to me and is like, "Why don't you do what the guys that did Saw did? They just made a scene of their feature film script into a short film, and then they just showed that around. That got popular, and then it's like, oh, let's make that into a feature film."
Yeah, but do you want to make? Well, you got to make what's true. I don't care about edginess in music anymore. I used to, and maybe I used to think that was really what I wanted to do.
Right, but
maybe I was maybe on a subconscious level I was pandering to edginess.
I think you probably even have one of the drafts of the MeetCute where he literally gets out a crossbow to shoot the girl and knock her down. That was actually kind of funny. Do you know what I mean? It was a whole series. Rather than this one, he gets a net and tackles her with a net. And you don't even see it. We cut out before that. The whole original idea of the film was is all the really scary, stalky stuff. He goes to stalk this girl.
Okay, so that you would have done that if you had the money, or you changed it?
If it wasn't a family-friendly thing,
you changed it for the family-friendly rating, did you?
Yeah.
Okay, so you really didn't. You actually didn't want to make it family-friendly. If you had the choice, you would have made it a lot more freaky.
Yeah, that people actually go.
You wanted the characters to be more. Distasteful?
A psycho, yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah, it's a comment that the whole film is a comment on rape culture.
Oh, fuck.
If you ever watch it.
The whole thing is
think about the film. It's about, he's considering raping her.
What? Nah. No, so the whole thing for me, from what I'm seeing, is a happy accident, because I think it's way better than that.
No. He possibly is. That's not his intention, but that's what rape culture says about if a guy ever pursues, if you've seen the new viral video that came out today, it's about a girl just walking through New York City, and they show the 100 comments she gets from men harassing her on the street. This is what people are interested in now. And I feel like toning that down in the film for the family friending just defeats. It doesn't make an interesting film like this. With that, MeetCute could have come viral if we had done the original idea.
Oh well, it seems.
But then I wouldn't have got the money to make it.
Seems to me like it's a happy accident, but it's a matter of taste and of subjective. I think it's better the way it is, but maybe my taste's changed, but I actually think something that's. Forgetting about trappings of edginess and contemporariness, just something that's strong and good, something that's a great book that was written 100 years ago or whatever, or 50 years ago, is still great. But that's probably more likely to have, that book's more likely to be less about edginess and contemporariness, or more about the true human.
I think people are just so over a white guy chasing a girl. And
I get that. I get that. But I think what you've done is better than that. It's somehow transcended that. I think what's great for me, in my taste, great art is something that seems like it doesn't have trappings of edginess and cool and contemporariness. It's just good and makes you feel something in your heart. And usually that is a fucking fail because it does turn into a cliche and it's boring. You've seen it a million times, and it's usually it's not cool. But if you can get past that, if you can do something that's still touches people and it isn't trying to be cool, then it's such a small field of things that can actually do that, and that's what's cool.
I'm thinking if I do enter a festival, I'm literally going to say the tagline is going to be a subversive look at rape culture.
Shit. Well, all right, James. I'll pay for the things. I enter it the way I want to enter it.
We can cut all the fat off it, so it's literally just him talking the end, and we put it as subversive look at rape culture.
All right, here's the
see
deal.
what happens.
Here's the deal. You can do that one.
Edgy as
you can do that one.
I think we did some takes where he swears in it, so we can make it a bit more edgy.
I think we did. Okay, I disagree with you, but this is your options. You can, if you can find the money, you can enter that, put your swearing in, blah blah blah. I don't mind putting the swearing in, and call it rape culture if you want, or you can let it sit on your hard drive like you have been. Or it seems like you are.
Well, I'm going to put it. I'll
take it. I'll enter it without putting a subversive look at rape culture on it, and if it gets in, and then I'll pay for the entry.
I don't want to get in the way of you promoting your acting, so I want you to do what you want. I can't afford to put another $300 into promoting the film.
All right, cool. Well, yeah. All right, well, we'll talk about that.
And like I said, I've got my thing on November 7th. I've got to work on that. I don't have time to go and re-edit the film. And
okay, cool. That's cool. I mean,
Does that make
if
sense?
I enter it and it's,
I'm not against you putting it because I want you to promote your acting, but sometimes I think it's better just put on your show reel and because that's all people care about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I want to kind of try and do this pilot season thing in January, or December. I think it even starts, which is pretty soon. I have to find some sort of representation in America ASAP for that to happen. So I guess I'm gonna have to start knocking on doors or emailing people and trying to show them my show. I think my show is looking all right for acting, but who knows? But I don't know. Do you think that if more people saw that film, I could maybe get some offers?
Show them. Sorry, you're going to show them the.
Do you think if that Meet Cute was in female festivals, do you think it could lead to some people emailing me and saying, "Hey, do you want to be in something?"
You would have to put it in. You would have to get into festivals that are in LA where the agents are.
Not so much America.
And you have to
I'm
hope
saying
the
in
agents
general.
actually
I'm
go to
saying
short
even
films.
Australian films or whatever. Do you think that being seen by a few more people could maybe make people look up who's that guy? You never know.
It could do, but you would. Yeah. If we get into like the Tel Aviv Film Festival in Israel, how's that going to help us?
All right.
You have to think about where it goes and whether it's worth money actually sending to that festival. Maybe it is because then you can put the little floralettes on your trailer.
Mm-hmm. You must have to go, hey? Do you?
Yeah, I probably should. We should probably wrap it up.
All right. Well, so we are going to.
Thanks for joining us. This has been Jim Rich FM.
Thanks for having me.
This is Justin. You can follow him on Twitter at Wonsfreely, WONSPHREELY.
Yeah.
I think.
And what about, just finally, the film that we've been off and on discussing during this chat.
It's called The Meet Cute.
The Meet Cute. And is that going to be viewable at some point for the public?
Well, I was going to, but then if you want to put it in festivals, you won't get it in if it's on the web.
Uh-huh. Okay, so let's just devil's advocate here. Let's say I don't. Let's say
there was a link to watch on my website, but I took it down because I thought maybe you would, if you wanted to re-enter into stuff.
Okay,
but I think
when was that? It's been public for a little while, has it?
Yeah, but only one person watched it.
It
was probably my cousin or something.
All right, cool. Well, we'll chat more. Sounds good.
But there will be an internet push at some point, but we have to decide when it is.
Do you have a theory? Do you have like strategies for that already? Or are you just going to try and make them up?
Well, I'm
eventually?
hoping you, Tanya, and Luke will push it.
Luke.
The composer.
Oh yes. Awesome. Okay, well that's something to look forward to. Look out for the Meet Cute soon.
Yeah. Maybe if we get it all pushed at the same time, maybe we can get it onto some Vimeo. Hey, this is a cool list.
Well, if you can tell us how to push it, I don't know how to push to Vimeo, but we'll do it.
You just have to tell all your friends to watch it and like it, I think.
Oh, so if Vimeo starts noticing that it's getting higher views, they'll go, okay, cool, this is
Yeah, I
a
guess
staff
that's
pick for the
what-
week
yeah.
or something.
Yeah, I hope so. I might
You
Google.
hope so? Do you know that's true?
Well, I'm not going to go out there and just do it.
No,
I'll
'cause
Google
I
it.
remember one time trying to get Vimeo to respond, and I think I must have Googled a bit, and I never worked out how they make their staff picks.
Maybe you have to tag it or something.
Someone who did get a staff pick, who's got it multiple times, told me that he just friended a whole bunch of staff from Vimeo and said, hey, watch my thing.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks for having me, man.
No worries. You can, find Gibberish FM at gibberishfm.com, or if you want to find out more about the Meet Cute, see a little teaser of Justin in it, just search the Meet Cute on Gibberish or meetcute.gibberish.com.
How are they going to spell gibberish?
Just Google it and I'll try and work it out. Jim. I mean, they will only hear this if they're...
Because that's what I'm asking you. Is your name going to be on this broadcast? Something like in a written format?